Many facets, though.
And now that we kind of analyzing it, maybe we could get some help from somebody who is better equipped at analyzing these type of things. Right. I'm talking about music sociologist Megan Sylvester. Good morning to you, Megan.
Good morning, Jayron, and welcome. Thank you very much for having me this morning.
No problem. So, I mean, you worked with Brother Resistance in TUCO, but of course, as somebody who's been studying our music and our history, you would have had to run into him several times before, I imagine, yeah?
Yes, most definitely. And I can actually speak to my memory of Brother Resistance in terms of many years ago when he used to be performing on the Rapso scene. I would have been, attending some of the events, been aware of some of the events. So when I finally came to TUCO to be the education research officer, I had that background of involvement, this working relationship with Brother Resistance from before.
Right. And what was it? What was that experience like when you used to see him on stage to compare to when you met him?
Well, the first thing I can talk about is the hat. The hat was just this dominant, emblem of the African male. And it was so important for me to see. I mean, you were just talking about, Robert Young and the cloth and the fact that the fashion that he wore, the hat, was representative of that Africanness. And in terms of the music, in terms of the lyrics, the power in the word, all of that was very engaging and enlightening to me. And so I was always attracted to that kind of African sentiment in the way that Brother Resistance portrayed himself.
Right. And I'm curious, Megan, have you been able to analyze the impact that Resistance has had when he came out with this new song? Well, not new song because Lance did it before him, as he would always say. But, this sound that impacted a generation and inspired a generation. How do we analyze that for future generations to understand the weight of it?
Well, it becomes important to understand what is the value of music, what is the value of lyrics. And Brother Resistance, in terms of his contribution, in terms of the impact of his music, in terms of what he would have left us with, really sought to identify who we are as Trinidadians and Tobagoans in terms of the Afrocentric aspect of our identity, and in terms of understanding who we are, the history of Black people in Trinidad and Tobago, and just talking about economic issues, talking about social issues, and all of the issues that have an impact on Trinidad and Tobago. So when we talk about him as an emblematic figure of nationality or nationhood or nationness, we understand who Brother Resistance is in his music and in his lyrics.
Most definitely. And would you say that he carried that same spirit and that same energy into his time at TUCO, being the president? You would have been there when he was the president, yeah?
Most definitely. I would have had 4 years,
right.
4 good solid years with Brother Resistance as the president.
Megan, tell me the truth. What was he like as the president?
He was a fantastic leader, One of the things that, I remember him fondly for is having a lot of patience, having a lot of resilience as well, in terms of, as a group dealing with this interest group that TUCO is, dealing with NCC and dealing with the government, in terms of understanding the relationship and the role that we play as part of that cultural scene. But the Resistance was a dominant and a very focused leader. But one of the things I really remember him for is having patience, because the whole cultural, sphere is important to understand in terms of what does culture mean to Trinidad and Tobago, and how we have to bring people around, people who may not be fully on board with culture or aspects of the culture or seeing the value in the culture. And so it became important to understand that under his leadership, he really showed us how to be patient with people who were coming into the fold. And that's one of the things that I fondly remember him for.
Patience and just
dedication.
Cool and deadly, as Wendell like to always say. He's just cool and deadly,
Yes.
But, Megan, the interesting thing to me, one of the interesting things about Brother Resistance is that even, as successful as he was and as iconic as he was still willing to go back to school to get his PhD, because I know he was working on his PhD up until recently. Do you think that all of that you're talking about there in terms of being able to educate persons about Calypso Was that a part of his mandate or part of his drive to go back to school?
Yes, most definitely. And in many of the conversations that I would have had as the TUCO Education and Research Officer, the conversations I would have had with Brother Resistance was always along that trajectory, because we would always talk about ways, new and interesting ways to educate the young people of Trinidad and Tobago, the young people of the nation, in terms of the work being done at secondary school level. We know about the work being done at the primary school level in terms of the junior calypso competition and that monarch. And we would always be talking about, I would go to him and I would say, Brother Resistance, I want to start engaging, like say, Nalis, to try to reach more and engage more members of the population. And I always got that support. So part of the work that Brother Resistance was involved in was in education, educating the nation on calypso and, of course, rapso.
Definitely. Well, Megan, I want to thank you so much for joining us and sharing a little bit of your story there with Lutalo Masimba, your Brother Resistance. And I mean, you want to, any last words before we go, Megan?
Well, what I can say is I am who I am today in many aspects in terms of my understanding of culture in Trinidad and Tobago because of Brother Resistance, because I would have been writing and presenting on calypso prior to getting into TUCO, and Brother Resistance saw me and saw this work that I was doing, and he approached me and said, Megan, I think I want you to be part of our team at TUCO. And that was quite a moment for me, and I will always fondly remember him for giving me that opportunity, asking me to come and join the team, and being part of this movement to take calypso to the nation and to the world.
Well, congratulations on everything that you guys were able to achieve, and I want to extend my condolences to you and the entire TUCO family as well.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem. Kira. Enjoy the rest of your day, Megan. Take care.
Same to you. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, that's Megan Sylvester there, who is a music sociologist and the Education and Research Officer at TUCO.